she's basically being the father and mother while I'm away all the time.
We both wanted to be the boss, and we both wanted to have our own way. There's always going to be things that come up with your spouse, with your siblings, with your friends, with your coworkers.
I think people give up too quick.
Well, let's start back in 1984. Tell us how you guys first met.
Well, we met at a New Year's Eve party, and I was actually at the party with Michelle's best friend, and I just saw Michele from across the way, and you know, she caught my eye.
What do you remember about that night?
That I had a date as well, and he was wanting to dance when we were all on the dance floor. And I was trying to avoid him because my friend was there. And but I did think he was kind of cute.
Yeah, so I went back to Kansas for the spring season, and then I came back to Stratford to play for the local summer league team, and we met at another
party.
Yeah, another party, and that's when it started.
So, tell me a little bit about those early days. I mean, obviously there was a mutual attraction there, and as you guys developed that relationship.
Yeah, I remember him leaving and coming back, and it was always, I actually really enjoyed that I didn't enjoy when he left, but it was always nice. Then he'd come back, he'd have something to look forward to, and I really missed him. And I admired him and his, the talent and his drive. And it was, and back then, it was hard to keep in touch, long distance.
Yeah, no cell phones back then.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so how did you make the effort?
Well, we'd talk once a week or something.
And we wrote letters.
Yeah.
Do you still do that?
No.
Obviously it progresses and you end up getting engaged. Tell me about that, because your lives at that point, you're playing, so you're still separate a lot of the time, but I guess you said to yourself, you made a decision, we want to be together as much as we can. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, and we took a trip to my brother was living in Boston, Holden, which is a suburb of Boston. And we took a trip, and I had bought the ring, and I was decided that this certain night that I was going to ask her to marry me, and she said yes. And it was a happy day.
I remember that it was really nice. His brother and his wife had a party to go to, so they left the house. And there was, they started a fire in the fireplace for us before they left. I don't know.
They knew that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So they knew. And it was just really nice and totally, we talked about getting married someday, but it was a very nice surprise, and I was totally on board.
So you get married, and again, the relationship is still very much a long distance relationship. And I think, let's talk a little bit about that, because long distance relationships have their own set of challenges. All relationships do, but long distance ones do. So did you guys sit together and talk about, okay, here's what we need to do to make sure this remains strong and remains healthy? Do you have any of those conversations, or does it just happen kind of naturally?
No, I don't remember having any conversations like that. We just asked each other to not do anything stupid. And we were really, still really immature at that point. We were so young. And
they were very young.
Not really ready to, be that grown up.
Yeah. Plus the fact that I wasn't making any money.
Right.
You're playing in the minor leagues at that time, and I was making, $900 a month just during the season. So we had to be separated because I'm playing baseball in the United States. You have to have a work visa to work in the United States if you're a Canadian citizen. So Michele couldn't get a work visa. I can because I'm in professional baseball, but she couldn't. So she worked at home and made all the money and supported our family. Well, it was just the two of us, but supported the both of us for many years before I started coaching and actually making a little bit of money.
Were there any role models that you guys can think back and say, you looked at this relationship over here, or you looked at a relationship that the family or friends or even other coaches or players that you said, they're doing it the right way. Maybe we can kind of model ourselves off of that.
I can't remember any specific family. Maybe you can, but I just sort of took it one day at a time and figured that whatever the problems that we'd have to face, we'd figure it out. But
Well, and I remember more the couples we didn't want to be, and I really looked up to Rob's brother's relationship. He had a wonderful wife, and they had, when we were first together, they were starting their family, and I really admired them. They ended up not staying together, but that was the one relationship that I thought, that's what I want one day.
Yeah.
But I knew I didn't want my parents' relationship, and I think Rob knew that too.
yeah, my parents had split up when I was 10 years old or something like that. So, and that was difficult for me as a 10-year-old. So I certainly didn't want to have children and put them through something like that, because there was a lot of pain there.
It's a huge motivator
Yeah.
to not. I think it's easier to try not to do something than to try to do something. And we were both committed to not have that happen to us. We got married and we both knew this is just going to be forever.
Okay, so then the question is, how do you make sure that doesn't happen? And I know that's a very loaded question, but there have to be certain things that you do to make sure that a relationship is healthy and stays together. So, Michele, what can you say that you try to do and that you need Rob to do to make sure that happens?
Well, first of all, before we got married in a Catholic church, and before we had to go away for marriage prep classes. We did a weekend thing, and there was a couple there, a husband and wife that had been married for a while, and they were like the mentors that weekend. And they gave huge advice. They told us, it's not pretty. It's not always easy. As a matter of fact, it's more difficult than it is easy. And it's hard work, and it takes both of you. And if you're not willing to do that, then you shouldn't be getting married. And I really took that all in. And so I think it's just, for me, I just decided that him, as long as he was in baseball, I was just gonna support him with whatever he decided to do, and in whatever way I could do that. And it wasn't always easy in the beginning. There was definitely a learning curve, and you just have to learn to be unselfish. That was the biggest thing, and just to be there and help him in whatever way to make it easier for him.
On the flip side, that has to happen from your end too, right?
Yeah, and I think that over time you realize that everybody's going to have problems. It's inevitable. But having the confidence that once we're going to get through this problem, and there's going to be the backside of this, and we're going to be good. And I always felt that way, that we're going to have problems, but we're going to be good at the end of the day. And we learned over time, because we spent so much time together during, I'm gone for the season, Michelle's at home working, that when I get home, there's going to be about a week or 10 days where it's bliss. I mean, everything's great. It's great to see you again. We're in love. And then there's going to be about another week or 10-day period where she's tired of me being in her house, and I'm tired of her being around me. But after a couple of years of that, you realize, okay, we're even going to get through that. There's this other side of it. We just gotta keep working through it, and we'll get there.
And how do you work through it? Just the ability to look at one another and say, I'm going to go to the garage right now and play with my tools, kind of thing. I mean, is that how you do it?
Sure. You figure out ways to get through it. Mm-hmm. Whether it's go outside, go for a walk.
Sometimes
go hang out
lack
with a buddy.
of communication is best for us anyway.
Yeah.
Just get separated. I think Rob knows when I get really quiet that there's something going on,
or when she gets really loud.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's talk about the decision making because, again, in a baseball life, a lot of the home decisions, I would imagine, are made by you.
Absolutely.
So how do you support Michele in that regard as the kids were growing up and she's making decisions? Maybe you don't agree with some of them along the way, but how do you have to?
I think it's just trust. And I trust Michelle's going to make the right decision. Doesn't matter what we're doing, whether it's money, whether it's with the kids, whether it's with where we're going on vacation. I trust that she's going to make the right decision, and I always have. And we've never really had a problem with, if she goes out and buys something, or she always communicates with me. But if she wants to buy something that's really expensive, doesn't happen a lot, but I'm good. I'm good because I trust that she's making the right decision.
And what about with the kids? Decisions that have to be made, while.
Same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, because I'm not there.
Right.
She's basically being the father and mother while I'm away all the time, and I mean, did an incredible job with the kids as they grew up, and they're very great kids. They're very disciplined. They're hardworking. She did an unbelievable job.
Is it fair to say that as your relationship grew and matured and here we are so many years later, that you've had to learn each other a couple of times throughout the years and make adjustments to the relationship and that kind of thing?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, back in the beginning, as I said, we were both really immature and strong-willed, and we both wanted to be the boss. And we both wanted to have our own way. So that doesn't work, especially in the beginning. So we fought a lot when we were dating, when we were first married. And I remember one time we ran into a couple that we knew early on in his coaching career, I believe. And it was like 7 or 8 years had passed since we were with them in Florida. And they said, can't believe y'all are still married. So that tells you a bit about our relationship. But it was, I think in a lot of ways, it was that fire that kept us going. Because we were strong-willed with each other, but we were also strong-willed in keeping things going. Then over time, once we understood the trust and the willingness to fight through everything, then it changed and it just became easier and better. And then we were able to laugh at each other when we got really angry and laugh at ourselves and realize how dumb so many arguments are so dumb that shouldn't even be arguing in the first place.
Just shake it up.
Yeah.
Did the arguing ever scare you? Not in a physical way, but like, wow, we're arguing a lot. Maybe we're not right for one another, kind of thing.
Not
because I think some couples probably do feel that way.
Not for him, but all the time for me.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, every big argument, I was like, that's it, I'm done. But then you go away and you calm down and you laugh at yourself and think that was really dumb. Like in the grand scheme of problems, that's not too bad. But no, he was never really bothered by it, I don't think. I mean,
my life is
he
one
got
big
over
argument.
he got over things very quickly.
Yeah, it's not like an umpire argument, right?
Yeah, that's right.
All right, start to come to the end here, but let me ask you this. So many young couples and probably many baseball couples will look at a relationship like yours and say what you said, that's what I'm looking for. That's what we need to be in our relationship. What advice would you give to maybe one of your players who asked you that?
That whatever problem you have, you can work it out. And trust that you're going to work it out. And trust that there's the backside of this thing. And everything's going to be fine. Because I think people give up too quick. And because they don't think it's going to work itself out. And I think if you have the will, that it will work out.
And if you can't get past little things like that, you're never going to succeed in life. You have to, there's always going to be things that come up with your spouse, with your siblings, with your friends, with your coworkers. And the sooner you learn to to deal with problems and try to fix them, and look into yourself, into what role you may have played in anything like that, I think is huge. And put yourself in the other person's shoes. And I think if you can do that and do it honestly and just have the will to get through things, then you can really do a lot more than you think you can.
I'll end with this. Relationships are difficult. Baseball's hard, right? Relationships are hard. Life is hard, but worth fighting for. I think that's the message that you guys are saying, right?
That's right, and it's the same thing with a baseball team. We got relationships on the baseball team, and sometimes you have arguments, you have disagreements, but I always feel like we're going to get through it. Whatever problems we have, baseball, my family life, our relationship, I always think that we're going to get through it one way or the other. I'll figure it out.
Healthy relationships require teamwork and trust. If you're worried that your relationship may not be healthy, call 1-800-799-SAFE.